Listen, feel the thin seam between one breath and the next. That hinge is where our journey begins. Your world may be pulsing with deadlines, phone alerts, and the restless chatter of memory, yet beneath the turbulence flows a river of calm. I'm not offering escape or a fantasy island. I'm inviting you to dig 1 inch under the noise and touch soil that has always been soft, cool, yours. Over the next hour, we'll test the claim that peace is not the privilege of monks on mountaintops but the birthright of people waiting in supermarket lines, people like you and me. By the time the final word lands, I want you to know to feel that the science of the mind and the dharma of compassion already shimmer in your nervous system, waiting to be read by every breath. No special cushion required, no incense needed, just your attention and the machinery of breath. Let's begin. Number 1. Waking up from autopilot. Picture yourself standing on a moving walkway at an airport. Feet planted, forward motion guaranteed, eyes glazed at the duty-free lights. Hours later you land, but some quieter part of you wonders whether you traveled at all. That conveyor belt is the mind on autopilot, thousands of micro-choices outsourced to habit, while the thinking brain is lulled by its own hum. Buddhist sutras call this state moha, a fog of unknowing. Neuroscientists chart it as the default mode network sipping dopamine for each swipe, scroll, and sugary hit. Look closely and you'll see the cycle. Anticipation, spike, crash, repeat, etched in everything from Instagram likes to Monday morning meetings. Yet the same circuitry that chains us to craving can liberate us the instant we turn the beam inward. Awareness interrupts the loop like a parent's hand gently pressing the emergency stop. You step off the moving walkway and feel the ground. The conveyor keeps running, but you at last are traveling under your own power. Number 2. Breathing like the earth. Place a hand on your ribs and sense the slow surf of your breath, arriving, receding. That rhythm is older than language, older than species. It is the planet itself, inhaling through forests, exhaling through oceans. MRI scans light up in cool blues, cortisol levels fall like evening snow. Polyvagal theory calls it ventral vagal safety. The Buddha called it calm abiding. Different vocabularies, one experience, the body shifting from defensive contraction to open equilibrium. Ancient sutras list 16 stages of mindful breathing: gladdening the breath, sensing the whole body, touching joy, releasing joy, contemplating impermanence, letting go. They sound poetic until you discover each stage mirrored by measurable shifts in interoceptive accuracy, heart rate variability, and prefrontal gamma coherence. Breathing is not a pit stop between thoughts, it is the master dial on the dashboard. Adjust it and the orchestra retunes. Imagine a boardroom where tension thickens the air. One conscious exhale can tilt the collective nervous system toward cooperation. Imagine bedtime, worries looping. Extend the outbreath by 2 counts and the loop phrase. Earth keeps breathing in tectonic tempo, centuries per inhale, millennia per exhale. When you sync with that pulse, even city sirens seem to ride the same tide. You are no longer an isolated chest rising and falling. You are a stanza in a planetary poem, punctuation in a cosmic lung. Keep listening to that surf. Each wave is an invitation to step beyond. Number 3. Stories we tell ourselves. Close your eyes for a heartbeat and watch the mind's projectionist at work. Scene after scene unfurls. Last night's misstep replayed in high definition. Tomorrow's meeting rendered as a gladiator arena. The distant memory you swear you buried surfacing like a C-Rex mast. We treat these reels as news footage, yet every frame is scripted in-house. Cognitive scientists file it under narrative self, the running commentary that stitches random moments into a story titled Me. Trouble starts when the tale hardens into granite. I'm the anxious one, the failure, the hero who must stay heroic. Buddhist insight slices deeper. The self isn't solid at all. It's a verb, an event, a swirl of sensations and memories, tagging in and out faster than we can say identity. When you watch thoughts the way you'd watch clouds, their outlines blur, and something radical occurs. Believability drops. In ACT therapy they call this cognitive diffusion, naming the thought, I'll blow the presentation story, and letting it float by. MRI studies register a cool hush in the medial prefrontal cortex. Monks sense it as spaciousness. Both describe the same moment when the narrator sets down the microphone and you hear the quiet hum of raw experience. Try this. Label the next self-judgment with story. Not I am unworthy, but there's the unworthiness story. Feel the millimeter of distance that opens. Into that gap pours possibility, compassion, creativity, even play. Liberation, not by deleting thoughts, but by seeing through their costume changes. The freedom to edit, skip or rewrite every reel before the credits roll. Number 4. Growing compassionate muscles. Imagine kindness as literal muscle fiber twining through the chest. Neglect it, and the strands grow flaccid. Exercise it and they thicken, capable of lifting the world or at least the corner of someone's day. Modern neuroscience eavesdrops on this practice and reports hypertrophy in the anterior cingulate and insula, regions governing empathy and emotional regulation. Compassion, it turns out, is not a moral garnish, it's biological armor against burnout. Yet many Western minds flinch at self-directed warmth. If I go soft on myself, I'll lose my edge. Research fires back. Self-compassion correlates with greater resilience, healthier striving, less procrastination. You don't sharpen a blade by striking it with a hammer of contempt. You hone it with balanced pressure and care. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches a 2-breath mantra. Breathing in, I embrace my suffering. Breathing out, I release it. The first breath acknowledges pain without judgment. The second offers gentle release. Repeated, the sequence becomes a pump circulating benevolence through neural pathways until default irritation gives way to default understanding. Picture meeting a colleague's outburst, not with retaliation but with the silent question, what wound is speaking here? That pivot rewires both nervous systems in real time, dropping cortisol levels, opening room for solutions. Compassion turns conflict into choreography, each step guided by mutual regard rather than ego defense. Start small. When frustration sparks, place a hand over your heart. Pressure sensors trigger oxytocin, the mammalian safety hormone. Whisper, may I be kind to this moment. The phrase may feel clumsy, but repetition is how muscle remembers. Within weeks, the reflex to blame softens. Within months, the radius of your concern expands beyond personal skin. Lift steadily, and you'll discover the strongest force in the nervous system isn't fear or ambition, it's tenderness, flexed on purpose. Number 5. Dancing with impermanence. Hold a snowflake on your glove and watch it vanish before your eyes. Crystal cathedral to droplet in a blink. That's every moment of your life, though most dissolutions happen in slow motion. The Buddha named this truth anicca. Everything conditioned is in flux. Neuroscience catches the echo in another term, neuroplasticity, the brain forever sculpting and resculpting its own corridors. See the parallel? Mind, body, relationships, economies, even galaxies. Nothing is finished, everything is becoming. When we resist that river, stress hormones surge. Yet the same data shows that people who orient to change as normal, not catastrophic, score higher on creativity, grit, and life satisfaction. Gratitude practice is one entry point. You savor a cup of coffee, knowing its heat will fade, and the appreciation intensifies precisely because it will fade. Brain imaging displays greater activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the region that links reward with meaning, when gratitude is coupled with awareness of transience. So invite impermanence to waltz instead of wrestle. When a plan crumbles, bow to the unplanned space left behind. When a joy peaks, enjoy its decrescendo like the lingering chord at the end of a concert. The practice is not to freeze the snowflake but to appreciate its geometry while it lasts, and to trust the water cycle that will birth new flakes in some unseen cloud. Number 6. Interbeing in a fractured world. Take a slow breath, and notice how the air you claim as mine just exited a stranger's lungs, or a forest, or a whale. Yet headlines howl of division, tribalism, ecological collapse. How do we practice interbeing when the world feels like broken glass? Start by recognizing that outrage and compassion share neural real estate. Functional MRI shows that when we witness suffering, the brain can route that signal toward either empathic concern or threat response. Mindfulness tilts the routing switch. A single non-reactive breath buys milliseconds for the prefrontal cortex to overrule the amygdala, transforming us versus them into we are hurting. From there, ripple outward with deliberate microacts. Send a voice note of encouragement. Choose products that respect the watershed you'll never visit. Pause before reposting outrage, and ask, will this heal or harden? Each gesture feeds the social field, the way mycelium threads nourish an entire forest. Epidemiologists studying prosocial behavior find that one act of kindness triggers cascades up to 3 degrees of separation, friend of a friend of a friend, before statistical noise swallows the signal. That's not philosophy, that's math. The health of any organism depends on cooperation among its parts. So whether you're mediating a family dispute or lobbying for climate action, remember, the boundary of self is porous. The fate of one intersects the fate of all. Practice interbeing, and the fractured world becomes a mosaic, still composed of shards, but holding sunlight in every piece. Number 7. Crafting your ritual map. Think of a single day as an unrolled scroll, blank at dawn and inked by dusk. Most of the marks appear without thinking. Brushing teeth, unlocking the phone, answering the same "got a minute?" pings. But what if you rewrote a few strokes so the scroll itself became a teacher? Start small. Choose 3 anchor points: morning, midday, evening. At wake up, let the phone stay dark for 60 seconds while you greet the first breath and ask, "How can I be useful today?" At noon, steal 90 seconds before email refresh. Feel both feet. Trace 1 inhalation from nostril to belly. Whisper a silent thank you to the body holding everything together. That's interoceptive training, strengthening the brain's ability to read internal signals, proven to lower stress reactivity. At night, before screens numb you to sleep, replay the day like a film director watching dailies. Note 1 act of care you offered, 1 moment of mindless drift. Layer in weekly or monthly practices as life allows. A tech-free Sunday morning, a walking meditation that turns the grocery run into a pilgrimage of senses, a gratitude email to someone who will never expect it. Over time, the scroll transforms. Habits align like constellations guiding sailors home. Your day ceases to be something that happens to you and becomes something you compose. An artwork of mindfulness, authored 1 mindful stroke at a time. Conclusion: return to the bell. And so we arrive back at the threshold where we began. That thin seam between breaths. The garbage trucks still growl. Deadlines still crowd the calendar. But listen more closely. Beneath the clatter, a single bell is ringing. Steady, patient, unchanged. You now hold 7 keys: awareness over autopilot, breath as ballast, story editing, compassion training, impermanence dance steps, the science of interbeing, and a ritual map for daily life. They are not souvenirs to admire but instruments to play. Pick one and test it in real time on the subway, in a tense meeting, while washing dishes. Each usage is a note. Together they become a song only you can sing. Peace and happiness are not destinations at the far end of effort. They are qualities revealed when effort is aligned with insight. Now it's your turn to live it. 1 breath, 1 choice, 1 resonant bell at a time.